In the endless dark of deep space, the exploration fleet of the Varnak Empire moved silently between stars. Their ships were large, elegant, and covered with silver plates that shimmered like water. For weeks, they had been searching for new resource worlds, quiet, peaceful work. But on that cold night, their sensors caught something strange. "Commander," said a nervous voice from the scanner room. "We are picking up an unknown signal. It's massive." Commander Terrell Varen stood from his seat. He was tall and calm, known for his logic and patience. "Massive?" he asked, walking toward the holo display. "Show me." On the screen, a single line pulsed across black space. Slow, steady, and far too perfect. "It's too clean to be natural," the officer said. "No star or planet makes a signal like that." At first, Terrell thought it might be a dying star, maybe a collapsing system. But then the signal moved. Slowly, deliberately. The bridge went silent. Terrell frowned. What direction? Drifting between sectors 9 and 10, directly into the uncharted zone. He turned toward his crew. "Prepare a probe. We'll take a closer look." Hours later, the probe glided into the dark. It sent back a live feed, shaky, silent, full of static. Slowly, an enormous shadow began to appear. At first, the crew thought it was an asteroid. But as the probe adjusted its light, the truth came clear. Metal, smooth black metal, stretching for kilometers. The entire Varnak bridge fell into stunned silence. "That's no asteroid," whispered one of the technicians. "That's a ship." Terrell leaned closer, eyes narrowing. "A ship of that size? Impossible. Even our largest dreadnoughts are half this length." The hull was covered in strange symbols, barely readable under layers of dust and scars. Then, as the probe moved closer, its camera caught a clear image of letters burned into the surface. "Titan, U." NS the alien scientists exchanged confused looks. "Uena?" one muttered. "That marking belongs to an extinct race. Humans." A few officers laughed. "Humans? That primitive planet from the blue system? Their technology was centuries behind ours before their extinction. This must be a joke." Terrell didn't smile. "Then explain this," he said quietly, staring at the massive engines at the back of the ship. They looked ancient, but also alive. "Commander," the scanner officer said, voice shaking. "No life signs detected. Power levels are near zero. It seems completely dead." "Then let's confirm," Terrell ordered. "Send the probe inside." The small drone floated through a crack in the hull, its light flickering across the silent corridors. Everything looked abandoned. Chairs floating, broken wires, shattered glass. A human skeleton drifted by, its suit marked with old flags of Earth. "Looks like a derelict," said an engineer. "It's been here for hundreds of years." They watched as the probe turned a corner. That's when the heartbeat started, a low rhythmic sound. Thump, thump, thump. It wasn't the probe's signal. It came from the ship itself. "What is that?" whispered someone. Terrell's heart froze. "Sound analysis," he ordered. "It matches no machine or biological pattern we know, sir. It's like an energy pulse, coming from deep inside the core." The probe's light flickered again, showing a giant black wall covered in strange symbols. One red light blinked in the center, in rhythm with the heartbeat. "Pull the probe back," Terrell said immediately. "Now." But before the drone could turn, the red light grew brighter. The walls started to hum. The entire derelict ship, kilometers of metal, began to wake up. On the bridge, alarm screamed. "Commander, the signal is increasing, power levels rising across the structure." "What about the probe?" "Signal lost. We've lost the probe." The heartbeat grew louder through their speakers, turning into a deep echo that made the ship's hull vibrate. The alien crew covered their ears as a strange human voice crackled through the static. "System rebooting. UNS Titan. Operational." Terrell stared at the comm screen. Did that speak in human language?" "Yes, sir. English." Everyone froze. No one had spoken that ancient tongue for over 2,000 years. Sir, said the navigation officer, trembling. The Titan's engines. They're online. Impossible. No, sir, look. The dark void outside came alive with pale blue light as the engines of the Titan ignited. The ship that had slept for centuries now glowed like a newborn star. Terrell made his decision fast. Send a signal to the fleet. Full retreat. Now. The crew rushed to obey, their hands shaking. But then the helm officer screamed. Navigation is not responding. Something's jamming us. Terrell's blood ran cold. From where? From the Titan, sir. It's locking onto us. The view screen lit up with a terrifying sight. The massive ship turning slowly, deliberately, until its giant front faced the Varnak flagship. The camera zoomed in. Thousands of long, silent barrels lined its surface, weapons that looked older than most civilizations in the galaxy. Then a deep metallic voice echoed across every channel. Unknown vessels detected. Identify. The aliens looked at each other in horror. None of them understood how the ship could still function, or why it was awake. Terrell swallowed hard and tried to respond. This is Commander Terrell Varen of the Varnak Empire. We mean no harm. There was silence. Then the voice replied, even colder. No record found. Intrusion detected. Defense mode activated. The Titan's massive cannons glowed with blinding blue light. Shields up, Terrell shouted. The Varnak ships tried to move, but their engines failed one by one. Every system flickered and went dark. The heartbeat returned, louder, faster. Commander, someone screamed. It's charging a weapon. Brace him for impact. The last thing they saw was a burst of light so bright it turned space white. And then everything went silent. The silence after the explosion lasted for hours. The dark space around the Varnak sector was quiet again. Too quiet. No wreckage, no distress calls, only empty static. A few hours later, the Varnak rescue cruiser Velnor arrived at the last known coordinates of Commander Terrell's fleet. The ship slowed as it entered the cold, empty region. Scan the area, Captain Rovak ordered. Anything at all? Debris? Escape pods? Anything. The scanners moved across the void. Nothing. Captain, the operator whispered. There's no trace of them, not even metal dust. Rovak frowned. That's impossible. A ship can't just disappear. The operator's hands shook. Sir, there is one thing. What is it? A signal. Very faint. It's repeating something. The bridge, filled with soft static, then a deep human voice came through, broken and slow. System rebooting. NS Titan, operational. Every alien on the bridge froze. That sound again. Someone muttered. That ancient language. Humans. Captain Rovak turned toward the holoscreen, his face pale. Bring it up. The static cleared slightly, and a faint heartbeat pulsed through the comms. Thump, thump, thump. Where is the source? Rovak demanded. Right behind us, sir. The crew turned as one. Out of the darkness, something enormous began to move. At first, it looked like a shadow. Then light crawled along its surface, lines of blue energy pulsing like veins under skin. The Titan had awakened. The alien bridge trembled as its scanners locked onto the massive ship. Size estimate, 15 kilometers in length, said the science officer. Its energy core is beyond measurement. It's alive. The crew stared at the sight through the viewport. The Titan floated silently, its armor black as the void, its hull reflecting distant stars. Every few seconds, a flicker of blue ran across its weapons, testing, calibrating, breathing. Try to communicate, Rovak said quietly. Maybe it's automated. Maybe it doesn't know who we are. The comm officer nodded and sent a signal in the standard galactic frequency. Unknown vessel, this is Captain Rovak of the Varnak Empire. We come in peace. Identify yourself. For a few seconds, there was no reply, only static. Then a cold metallic voice filled the bridge speakers. Foreign vessel detected. Identify. The crew jumped in their seats. The same voice, the same calm tone. The officer hesitated. "Captain, it's asking us to identify again." "Tell it who we are," Rovak ordered. The comm officer spoke again. "We are explorers of the Varnak Empire. We do not wish to harm." "Foreign vessel detected. Identify." The same words, the same exact tone. "It's looping?" one officer whispered. "No," Rovak said softly. "It's testing us." He stared at the massive ship outside. Its cannons slowly rotated, not aiming directly, just moving, observing. "Keep your shields up," Rovak said. "But do not fire, no matter what." Suddenly the Titan's lights flashed. A deep hum filled the void, shaking the Varnak ship's hull. "Power levels spiking," someone shouted. "It's activating something." The voice returned, louder, clearer, emotionless. "Scanning. Biological entities detected. Non-human. Intruders confirmed." "Non-human?" Rovak muttered. "It's calling us intruders?" Before he could react, a bright wave of energy washed over them. Every console in the Varnak ship flickered. Lights went out. Systems died. Shields offline. Engines not responding. "We're losing power." The Titan wasn't firing weapons. It was simply taking control. The crew panicked as the ship started drifting helplessly toward the massive warship. Rovak slammed his fist on the armrest. "Manual override. Pull us away." "It's no use, Captain," the helmsman shouted. "Something has locked our trajectory." On the screen, the Titan's front section began to open. A circular structure unfolded, revealing a blinding blue light at its center, a hangar, or perhaps something worse. Rovak felt a chill run through him. "It's pulling us in." Inside the alien ship, metal screamed as invisible force dragged it closer and closer to the Titan's surface. The crew could. In the great halls of the Galactic Council, the tension was thick like smoke. The chamber was vast, filled with the light of 1,000 stars projected above the round table. Representatives from dozens of alien races sat in silence, watching the floating hologram of a single black warship, the Titan. The holo flickered, showing grainy recordings from the destroyed Varnak fleets. Every frame was terrifying. Blue flashes, vanishing ships, and that haunting heartbeat echoing through static. Council Speaker Corin Val, a tall reptilian leader, finally broke the silence. "This human warship," he said slowly. "You are certain it exists?" "Yes, Speaker," replied the Varnak envoy, his face pale and trembling. "Our fleets are gone. Our systems confirmed the attack. No weapon in the galaxy can erase matter so completely." Across the table, a robotic envoy from the Centaur Collective clicked in disbelief. Humans were erased from record centuries ago. Their world burned. Their technology was primitive. The Varnak envoy's voice shook. "Primitive or not, that ship exists, and it carries the mark of Earth Defense Command." The words hung in the air like thunder. In the crowd, whispers spread. The humans were a ghost story, a cautionary tale told to children. A species known for their emotions, their wars, and their stubborn will to survive. They had vanished long ago after destroying their own solar system in a final war. No one ever expected to hear of them again. Now, it seemed, something had survived. The Zeroth matriarch, an insect-like ruler, clicked her mandibles. A myth returning to life? Impossible. Perhaps it's an AI left behind. An ancient program acting on old orders. The Varnak envoy shook his head. Even if it's an AI, it holds human codes, human weapons, and human rage. It called us intruders in Earth Defense Command territory. Speaker Corin leaned forward. Then the question is, what territory does it claim? No one had an answer. Hours later, the council chamber dimmed as they replayed the last transmission from the Varnak rescue team. Static hissed, then a human voice echoed, "Foreign vessel detected, identify." The sound was calm but full of weight. It sent shivers even through those who had never met a human before. One ambassador whispered, "That voice sounds alive." "Alive or not," Corin said. "It destroyed 2 fleets without a trace. We must contain it." The Centaur robot flickered blue lights across its face. "Contain? You mean destroy?" The chamber erupted into arguments. Some demanded war. Others wanted study. Some whispered that waking it might anger whatever was left of humanity, if anything remained. Finally, Corin raised his clawed hand. Enough, we cannot risk panic. The Council will send an investigative force, 12 of our best warships. If this Titan still functions, we will learn its purpose. The vote passed. The mission was called Operation Dawnveil. Days later, 12 of the most powerful warships from across the galaxy gathered near the border of the Silent Zone, the place where the Titan had last been seen. Admiral Saren Vek stood at the bridge of the lead ship, staring at the darkness ahead. All ships ready? Confirmed, Admiral, replied his crew. No signals detected. Space is quiet, Saren narrowed his eyes. Quiet isn't good. Begin search pattern. The fleet moved in formation, scanning the void. Their radar beams stretched across billions of kilometers, yet found nothing, no debris, no radiation, no signs of battle. It's as if the entire region was erased, said one of the officers. Then, suddenly, the long-range sensors picked up something faint, a rhythmic pulse. Saren frowned. That sound? The operator swallowed. It's a repeating signal, sir. The same frequency as the Varnak distress call. The sound filled the bridge. Thump, 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 that same heartbeat. The Admiral clenched his fists. Locate the source. Unknown. It's bouncing between sectors. It's surrounding us. The lights flickered. Admiral, shouted the engineer. Systems are dropping. Shields flickering. The fleet's ships began to lose power one by one, their engines dimming, lights dying. Saren's voice was calm but tense. Form defensive positions. Prepare for visual contact. Out of the endless black shapes began to form. First faint outlines, then the full silhouette of the Titan rising from the darkness like a mountain of steel. The Admiral stared, frozen. By the stars, the Titan's surface glowed faint blue. Its cannons were still cold, but its presence was enough to make the alien fleets hesitate. The comms came alive with static, then a human voice, calm and mechanical. Unauthorized presence detected. This region is restricted. Leave immediately. Saren tried diplomacy. We mean no harm. We are here to leave immediately. The voice grew louder, its tone final. The Admiral glanced at his second officer. We can't just retreat. If it's dangerous, we must learn what it is. The officer hesitated. Sir, it destroyed 2 fleets. We might be next, Saren nodded slowly. Then let's see how it reacts. He ordered one ship to fire a weak pulse beam, a harmless test shot. The bright beam struck the Titan's armor and vanished. No explosion, no damage. It was as if the light itself was swallowed. Then came the hum, low, deep, vibrating through every ship. Energy buildup, shouted the engineer. It's charging weapons. The Admiral shouted, evasive maneuvers. Too late. A single flash of blue light burst from the Titan's front cannon. Silent, beautiful, and instant. One of the Council's ships vanished without sound. Not destroyed, erased. The rest of the fleet scattered in terror. Retreat! Retreat! The Titan didn't chase. It simply turned its massive guns toward the stars, scanning, watching. Within minutes, the surviving ships were gone, leaving the dark void empty again. Admiral Saren's damaged cruiser limped back toward Council space. Half his crew was gone. The others sat in silent shock. One engineer whispered, It didn't attack us all. It only fired once, like it was sending a message. Saren looked at the silent comms and nodded. Yes, it wants us to know it's awake. He stared at the blackness of space. And I think it's not alone. When the fleet's report reached the Galactic Council, the entire chamber broke into chaos. It destroyed a warship in one shot. It warned us to leave. It's claiming territory we don't even recognize. The council speaker slammed his staff. Silence. He turned to the Varnak envoy. Do you now understand the danger your exploration has caused? You woke something that was never meant to be touched. The envoy's voice trembled. It called this region Earth Defense Territory. But Earth is gone. There's nothing left of that world. Speaker Corin glared at him. Then perhaps the humans are not. Ending suspense. That night, the Council's Security Division received a secret transmission, not from the Titan, but from somewhere far older. A cold voice spoke in perfect human English. This is Titan Command. Protocol Alpha 9 active. Awaiting Earth's return. The technician who received the message turned pale. Sir, he whispered, the signal isn't from one ship. The supervisor frowned. Then where? The technician swallowed hard. From multiple sources, dozens, across different systems. The room went dead silent, and far away, in the void between stars, faint blue lights began to appear one by one, like sleeping giants opening their eyes. The Varnak fleet floated helplessly before the enormous human warship, Titan. The stars around them seemed to fade as the ship's metal surface shimmered with slow pulsing light. The silence was deep, almost alive. Captain Varel stood on the command bridge, his scales trembling. Report, he hissed quietly. Engines are not responding, Captain, said the engineer. Something is holding us. Like gravity, but not. Varel's eyes flicked to the view screen. The Titan still didn't move. It just hung there, cold, ancient, impossible. But every few seconds that faint pulse echoed again like a heartbeat. Then came the sound, a low vibration, deep and slow, rolling through their hull. The crew froze. It wasn't static, it was a signal. Translate that, Varel ordered. The linguist's hands shook as she worked. After a few seconds, her eyes widened. It's a human transmission. Ancient Earth code. It says, wake. Sequence activated. The bridge went silent. Wake sequence, whispered Varel. From what? Before anyone could answer, the Titan's hull lit up. Lines of white light spread across its massive frame like veins awakening after 1,000 years of sleep. A deep hum filled the void. One of the younger officers cried out. Captain! The ship, it's powering up. The Varnak fleet tried again to retreat, engines burning hard, but their ships didn't move. The Titan's gravity field held them fast. Then from the warship's side, panels began to open. Out of the dark, mechanical drones drifted forward. They were sleek, silent, shaped like spears of silver. No visible weapons, yet every instinct screamed danger. Identify those objects, Varel demanded. Unknown technology, replied the tactical officer. They're scanning us. Every system. Every crew member. The lights dimmed for a moment on the Varnak bridge. The screens flickered. Then static. The main display went black. Status? Varel shouted. The engineer turned pale. Captain, the Titan is inside our network. It's overriding our ship's control systems. Suddenly, one of the screens came back to life, showing a human face. A man, his uniform faded, eyes glowing faintly blue. His voice was calm, cold, and deep. This is Captain Marcus Hale, commanding officer of the UNS Titan. Identify yourselves or you will be neutralized. The crew stared in horror. The human's image was old, maybe centuries. He shouldn't be alive, Varel spoke carefully. We are explorers of the Varnak Empire. We mean no harm. The face didn't blink. Explorers? Detected. The Varnak fleet arrived home in silence. The once proud ships now looked broken, scratched, burned, and trembling from what they had seen. Captain Varel didn't speak for hours. The crew barely moved. When their ships entered the Varnak communication zone, the central control hailed them immediately. Fleet Commander Varel, your ships vanished from scanners for 2 solar cycles. Report status. Varel's voice was hollow. We survived, but the stars are not empty. There is something out there, something human. His words spread through the comms instantly. Within minutes, the Varnak High Council called for an emergency meeting. Every great mind and military leader gathered in the Grand Chamber, a vast dome filled with flickering lights and echoing whispers. When Varel entered, the chamber fell silent. His scales still shimmered faintly from radiation burns. His eyes were wide, haunted. The first speaker of the council, a tall alien with dark red markings, leaned forward. Captain Varel, she said slowly, you claim to have encountered a human ship. That is impossible. Humanity has no interstellar reach. Their world, Earth, is primitive. Varel shook his head. No, Speaker, we saw it. A warship larger than any we've ever built. It called itself Titan. It was not derelict, it was alive. The crowd erupted in disbelief. Some laughed, others whispered in fear. Impossible, shouted one general. Humans are known barbarians. They destroy their own planet, not command fleets in deep space. Varel activated the holo recorder. The chamber darkened as images filled the air. The Titan, its massive frame glowing with eerie white lines. The drones surrounding it. The human's glowing eyes and cold voice. Identify yourselves or you will be neutralized. The entire chamber froze. The echo of that voice filled every corner. No one spoke for several seconds. Then the first speaker's voice trembled. "Are you certain? This was real?" Virel nodded. "We lost 4 ships. The Titan didn't attack us, it simply watched. It let us go only after warning us never to return." The council members began murmuring among themselves. Fear spread like a virus. An old scholar, one of the galaxy's top historians, stepped forward. "There are legends," he said softly. "Old data records from the time when humanity first reached the stars. They spoke of something called the UNS fleet. It vanished over 1,000 years ago during the Great Collapse. Some said it went into deep space to guard something." Virel looked at him sharply. "Guard what?" The scholar's eyes were dark. "No one knows." Hours later, the story of the Titan spread beyond the Varnak system. It reached the ears of the Galactic Council, a massive alliance of more than 100 civilizations. Within days, emergency meetings began. Holograms of alien leaders filled the Great Hall, all speaking at once. A human warship that size cannot exist. If it's true, it could threaten trade routes. Humans are extinct. The Varnak are lying to hide something. But among all the noise, one voice rose above the rest. Admiral Threx, the military commander of the Rothari Dominion, leaned forward. His scales gleamed like polished steel. "If humans have returned," he said slowly, "we must confirm it. And if this Titan truly exists, it must be neutralized before it becomes a threat." The chamber fell silent again. The Varnak first speaker stood. "Admiral Threx, I advise against any action. That ship destroyed our systems without firing a shot. It could erase your fleet in seconds," Threx smirked. "Or perhaps you were simply weak." The Varnak delegates hissed in anger, but Threx ignored them. "I will send a scout fleet to this coordinate," he said, pulling up the data Virel had recorded. "We will see if these ghosts of Earth still dare to breathe." Virel stepped forward quickly. "Don't go there," he warned. "We barely survived. That ship, it's not just a machine. It feels alive. It's watching." Threx only smiled. "Then let it watch. We will show these ancient humans what real power looks like." A few light years away, deep in the dark reaches of space, the Titan remained silent. Around it, hundreds of smaller ships floated in perfect formation. No movement, no sound. Inside the Titan, the flickering hologram of Captain Marcus Hale stood still, glowing faintly blue. A voice from the ship's AI whispered, "Incoming data." Galactic chatter increasing. Keywords, Titan, human, Earth. The hologram turned, eyes brightening. "They're talking again," he said quietly. "The stars remember us. Do we respond?" asked the AI. "Not yet," Hale replied. "Let them come." He turned to the main viewport. The stars stretched before him like an endless ocean. "If they seek the ghosts of Earth," he murmured, "then we will remind them what humanity truly was." Ending suspense. Back in the Galactic Council, news spread that the Rothari fleet, the most feared in the galaxy, had already departed. Thousands of ships were heading toward the Titan's last known coordinates. The Council was divided. Some believed they would destroy the human ghost ship. Others feared it would awaken something ancient. But one thing was clear. The silence around the Titan was about to end. The Rothari Dominion fleet emerged from hyperspace like a storm, thousands of warships glittering with red and silver armor. They filled the void around the dark region where the Titan had last been seen. Admiral Threx stood tall on his command bridge, eyes fixed on the main screen. "No movement detected?" he asked. "None, Admiral," replied his officer. "The human vessel is still inactive. Just drifting," Threx smirked. "So this is the great ghost ship that frightened the Varnak. I expected more." Before him, the Titan floated silently in the dark, its colossal shape blocking distant starlight. No signals, no lights, only the faint reflection of cold metal. Threx raised his hand. "Activate scanners. I want every inch of that thing mapped." The fleet's sensors hummed, beams sweeping across the Titan's hull. Then suddenly all readings vanished. The screens went black. "What happened?" barked Threx. The technician's voice shook. "Something. It's jamming us. All frequencies. Impossible. That ship is ancient." Then came the sound. A deep pulse, slow, powerful, echoed across every ship. It wasn't a signal. It was something else. Something alive. Thump, thump, thump. Each pulse made the Rothari ships tremble. Lights flickered. Systems glitched. Threx clenched his fists. "Stabilize the grid. I want weapons ready." But before they could lock on, a blinding white light spread from the Titan's hull. Thin lines of energy traced its surface, glowing brighter with each pulse. The once-dead warship was waking up again. Every Rothari officer froze as an old human voice echoed through open space. Unauthorized approach detected. Defense protocol Titan reactivation sequence. The voice was calm, deep, and unshaken by time. Protocol what? Whispered one of Threx's aides. Then the Titan moved, at first only slightly. Then faster. The massive ship rotated with impossible speed for its size, facing the Rothari fleet directly. Open fire. Threx roared. Thousands of plasma bolts and energy beams lit up the void, slamming into the Titan's hull. The impact should have torn it apart. But when the smoke cleared, it stood untouched. The Titan's armor shimmered faintly, absorbing the attack like it was nothing. Impossible, Threx whispered. No material can do that. The human voice returned, calm and merciless. Offensive act confirmed. Retaliation authorized. Panels opened along the Titan's sides. Strange silver drones poured out, spreading like a silent swarm. Each drone moved faster than any Rothari fighter could track. Deploy interceptors, shouted Threx, but it was already too late. The drones streaked through the Rothari formations like light through glass. They didn't fire weapons, they touched ships. Just a single touch, and every ship they touched went dead. Lights out, engines off, drifting cold and lifeless. EMP weapons, cried an officer. No, the engineer whispered. They're rewriting our systems. Within minutes, hundreds of Rothari ships floated dead. Others tried to retreat, but their jump drives failed. The void became chaos. Ships colliding, signals dying, screams echoing through comms. And still, the Titan didn't move from its place. It simply watched. On the Titan's bridge, the flickering hologram of Captain Marcus Hale stood in the dim blue light. Status? He asked the ship's AI. Enemy fleet strength, 1,320 vessels. Operational 147. Hale nodded slowly. Do not destroy them. Let them remember. The AI paused. Reason? Hale's hologram looked toward the stars. Fear is a stronger message than death. Outside, the last surviving Rothari ships turned to flee. Admiral Threx's flagship shook violently, alarm screaming. He stared in horror at the Titan on his screen. This can't be human, he whispered. No species, no one could build this. Then his screen flickered and the human face appeared again. Captain Hale, eyes glowing faint blue. You came to test humanity's silence, Hale said. Now you understand it. Threx tried to speak, but his voice failed. The hologram leaned closer. Tell your council, Earth remembers. The stars are not yours. And then the connection cut. A second later, the Rothari flagship's power returned, along with every surviving ship. The Titan had released them. Threx stood frozen as his ship turned automatically, carrying them away from the battle zone. He looked back one last time. The Titan's lights were fading again. Its massive form drifted slowly back into shadow. The drones returned to their positions, surrounding it like silent guardians. Then once again there was only silence. Weeks later, the Galactic Council gathered again. The Rothari Admiral's report was played to the entire hall. Holographic footage showed the Titan's impossible power. The blinding light, the swarm of silent drones, the unbreakable armor. No one's spee,